Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Automotive Drama. Remember, if you like any of my videos, subscribes are much better than likes. Please ring the bell. Um, don't be afraid to leave any questions, comments. And all you TikTok users, check out my YouTube because there's just way more videos on. I do way more on my YouTube than I do TikTok. But anyways, back to this Charger squad conversion nightmare that I got left with, and pieces and parts and everything scattered, and this not plugged in, this shorted out. All right, breaking it all down to where it came from. After I fixed the direct short to the alternator, um, which I've never really seen that. The only way that could happen is I think somebody jump started it backwards or hooked something up to power to ground, and that's the only way that could ever happen. Anyways, I found that. I fixed my 12 volt voltage drop from here to here across all these fuses, which had no volts at all. These two had 0.7, and these were all 0, but I had 12 volt drop across here, so that's how I figured out this short after I disconnected everything on all those fuses and the starter, because this ties into the starter, but I already checked the starter. All that's figured out. Then after I found the voltage drop on these two wires coming from the back because somebody didn't have the plug-in underneath the dash, connector 101, which I talked about earlier, and how I was using my toner and etc., the splices. Then I still had 0.7 volt drop on this feed wire that feeds back to the PCM. 0.7 here on the fuse. So I did something I really didn't want to do, and I cut the wire that's fused. Now this wire is supposed to be 12 volts from the PCM. I'm not sure if it's ground, because it says, I don't know, the way it's wired, this relay looks like it's wired backwards, and this actually grounds through this terminal on the PCM. As much as I can tell, I'm still not totally sure about that, but the way it's wired, it's the only thing I can figure. And I've checked the wires after I got after I fixed the volt drop on these two. I went back and I checked the PCM for power and ground. So I already checked the grounds, but I never checked the power because I never had enough power coming out of the fuse block to power up the PCM. Once I got that fixed, I still didn't have the power, so what I did, reluctantly, I cut the wire from the PCM to the fuse, and then I powered up the fuse directly. Everything came alive, like it's supposed to. Didn't want to, but then I checked this wire, and I found my 0.7 volts. It's coming from this wire, and this wire directly connects to the PCM. There's 3 wires back here. They run off of a bus. My little toner came right to it, and it pulled it all the way out and through and told me which way all those wires are going. The little toner actually even told me that this wire right here is still in its part in the wiring diagram, so that was all good. But I still had 0.7 volts here when I should have either ground or voltage. I'm pretty sure it should be ground the way this thing's wired, because this one says return feed, but it's really crazy. I think it's the PCM is reading the voltage off of this wire because it has 3 power wires. It's just something is really goofy with the wiring diagram, so I honestly think it might ground through the fuse. I'm not sure, but I know that I only have 0.7 volts there, so I either should have 12 volts ground or 12 volts power, one of the two, for this relay. And I got crap. Like I said, I powered it up. Everything came alive. I had 12 volts here, 12 volts here, 12 volts, which still, I think it grounds through here because that's the only possible thing, and this is return. It says PCM return. So pretty sure it grounds through this wire, but either way, I only had 7/10 of a volt here, so I should have 12 volts on either side. So after I fixed all the other crap, and it was kind of easy to figure out that the power and ground and all that was at the PCM once I pinned it out. There's one here, power, ground, that's power, key on power, which, yeah, there's another issue. We'll get to that one later. But I definitely know this PCM is shorted. So before I can go any further with this, I have to call them, and we have to figure out what we're going to do with the PCM and how we're going to get it programmed to fit this specific vehicle, the valve, the engine, and the transmission, which is the 8 HP, blah, 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 long S number. Not the NAG, which is the 5-speed. It is the 8-speed, which this is an old squad with a column shifter, and we'll get into that later on another video, because I've already been into that, and I kind of know what's going on there, and that's the only reason I figured all this out, because I had to make sure that the wiring harnesses weren't switched, and everything pins out, so the wiring harnesses are good. Anyways, stay tuned for more videos on this. I pretty much figured out the voltage drops and the shorts, and something blew up that PCM, obviously, because, don't want to touch that wire anymore. But, again, thanks for tuning in. Subscribes are likes. Subscribes are better. Likes are nice. Make sure you ring the bell if you want to see more episodes, and stay tuned. Good night.